Welcome to our presentation about the ROS-Industrial Consortium. ROS-Industrial is an open-source meta-operating system that will, over the next few years, become the de facto programming environment for advanced industrial robotics, the same way that Linux has become ubiquitous for servers and for mobile devices. This is the story of how ROS-Industrial came to be and how it can benefit you. This is Sean Edwards, the engineer who is the chief instigator and head curator of the ROS-Industrial repository. Sean came to Southwest Research because he wanted to apply his robot programming skills to control industrial robots that make real products. He heard that Southwest Research had a 25-year history developing and deploying industrial robotic systems, including these awesome 2-story tall robots that strip the paint from fighter jets. This is one of our early systems, which is installed at Robins Air Force Base in Georgia and is still productive all these years later. Sean was part of the software team responsible for writing much of the code for this gantry-mounted robotic automated coating removal system. It removes paint from off-airframe components. Sean's code ran on a PC that interfaced with an off-the-shelf controller. A couple of years later, Sean was working on the code for our next-generation jet fighter paint-stripping robot. The user interface and functionality were nearly identical to the yellow robot, but the orange robots used a different off-the-shelf controller. And because of these differences between the yellow robot controller and the orange robot controller, Sean and his colleagues spent many man-months porting and rewriting code for the orange robot's controller. Sean was frustrated by this and many other experiences where the proprietary nature of industrial robot systems made software reuse difficult or intractable. Then Sean heard about this Silicon Valley startup called Willow Garage. Willow was founded in 2007 by Scott Hassan, the same guy who started what is now Yahoo Groups and an early employee at Google. He assembled a team of PhD robotics rock stars to launch open-source software to bring personal robotics to the masses. After a few years of working in relative obscurity, they launched a stable release of ROS, the Robot Operating System, in 2010. Since ROS-Industrial is built on top of the ROS core, let me tell you a little about ROS. ROS uses an open architecture, publish-subscribe communication protocol that can run over any network hardware, though most people use Ethernet. This architecture enables ROS to run on a single computer or distributed across many computers, and it fosters modular software that is easy to reuse and share. The architecture makes it very easy to hook up a wide variety of hardware to your robotic system. ROS has hundreds of libraries of advanced capabilities including on-the-fly motion planning, grasp planning, obstacle avoidance, and 3D machine vision. ROS has many handy development tools for viewing and debugging data. This one is called RViz. It is an interactive 3D environment for mixing 3D robot models with sensory data. Software developers really appreciate using standard development tools and languages versus the proprietary tool chains that exist today. One of the great ROS success stories is how quickly it has been adopted. In just the last couple of years, the number of people who have adopted ROS for their robot research soared from a handful to thousands, and they are located across the globe. It has seen exponential adoption. Because these tools are open source, the robotics research community quickly adopted ROS to avoid having to rewrite their previous generation's code. When Sean saw how ROS was transforming the world of personal and research robotics, he was inspired to start an open source project to bring the advanced capabilities of ROS to existing industrial robots. He called it ROS-Industrial. With funding from Southwest Research Institute's Internal Research and Development Program, Sean teamed up with Willow Garage and Motoman Robotics and headed to Willow Garage as a visiting researcher. His mission was to leverage the advanced capabilities that Willow had developed for its PR2 service robot, capabilities like 3D object recognition, collision-free path planning, and grasp planning, and apply them to a modern industrial manipulator. The outcome was the first demonstration of ROS controlling an industrial manipulator to recognize and grasp common shapes like cylinders and boxes. And also more complex shapes like those found in a manufacturing environment. Sean didn't stop with the Motoman robot. He also demonstrated these capabilities with an Adept robot, and compatibility with ABB, FANUC, and KUKA are currently in development. Cross-platform capabilities are one of the core benefits of the ROS-Industrial approach. ROS-Industrial will end the frustration that Sean experienced when he wanted to reuse code for another proprietary industrial robot, because it will interoperate with them through a driver layer, similar to the way that printer drivers work on a PC. We're building code quality and testing standards into ROS-Industrial so that it will be just as reliable as a proprietary software that industrial robots currently use. This means that companies will be free from automation vendor lock because the hardware can be chosen based on what is best for each application, regardless of what robots are on the rest of the factory floor. And since ROS-Industrial makes it possible to automate new tasks like bin picking or mobile manipulators, it will pay for itself. We are starting a consortium to foster the rapid growth of ROS-Industrial in terms of its capabilities and its user base. We expect it to grow exponentially over time, much like other open source projects like Linux, ROS, and the Point Cloud library have recently. Those who fund the consortium will enjoy a high return on their investment because members pay for only a fraction of the development but benefit from the entirety of the produced value. But if ROS-Industrial is open source, couldn't you just go it alone outside the consortium? Well, there are many benefits that are exclusive to consortium members. One of the primary benefits is that full members are automatically part of the Consortium Advisory Committee, which oversees the roadmap directing the continued development of ROS-Industrial. Full members also have the privilege of initiating focused technical projects to meet their specific near-term automation needs and share costs equally with other interested members. And they have access to industrial robotics experts like Sean, who provide training and technical support. As a consortium member, you will have a sneak preview of what technologies are coming next, so you can get ahead of your competition. You can join by signing the consortium contract and by paying your dues according to this table. The consortium fees are used to support overhead consortium services like training, technical support, and consortium meetings. New ROS-Industrial capabilities are funded primarily through focused technical projects, whose cost is shared among participating members. You may participate in as many of these projects as you wish, and there is no minimum obligation. The consortium formally starts at the beginning of the calendar year, and the first meeting will be held soon after. Please join Sean in making advanced robotics ubiquitous on the factory floor. For more information about ROS-Industrial and to contact us about consortium membership, please go to ric.swri.org.